Without further ado, we'll bring up our guests. First, Michael Dorn. And we also have for you, somewhere around here, Jonathan Frakes.
I'm sorry, but I have to tell you that Jonathan couldn't make it. Just a minute, sir, just a minute. Just a minute, sir, just a minute, just a minute. Just a minute, sir, just a minute. Jonathan couldn't make it today, and so, look, sir, excuse me, sir.
I love your chips.
Sir.
You're so handsome.
Sir.
I'm sorry. I'll wait.
Please, sir, thank you.
What's Patrick Stewart really like?
Sir, please.
I'm sorry, you guys.
There's always one in a crowd. First of all, let me say I'm sorry. Jonathan couldn't make it today. He had some urgent business, but I will stand in for him. And as usual, there will be people like that who are going to come up, but you have to ignore them. And sir, excuse me, sir, in the
Yes,
back.
sir.
I don't like to talk about chips. Okay?
I'm sorry.
It was an ugly time in my life.
The mustache, you had a beautiful mustache, though.
Yes, I did have a beautiful mustache.
Now, have you lost your hair? Is that why your hair's so short?
Lost my hair?
Yeah, because didn't you used to have a full head of hair? Nice kind of a Jewish afro thing on? I remember seeing you on TV quite a bit. You had a nice full head of hair.
Beautiful head of hair.
Yeah, and you were cute, right?
I was cute too, wasn't I?
I remember you from that period. That was like the early 80s.
There was a guy that I remember on North and South. And he was beautiful. He had the whole thing going, had the thing right here in his head that he could, you know, make like a dimple at a moment's notice. He was good looking too. But I don't know what happened to him. I think he went to...
You got old.
Yeah, you know what?
Hi, how you doing?
But yes, I did have hair.
What's your name? Where are you from?
Melissa from Kentucky.
Melissa from Kentucky. Nice to see you.
Kentucky.
You big Michael Dorn fan?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Oh, Chop.
Ditch. What a life.
What a life we lead. I love the life we lead, and I lead the life we love. I'd
Lead the
rather
life
have
we
love
love.
in front of me than in front of the bottom.
Ladies and gentlemen, like you don't know who it is.
I did have that Red Bull.
You know, Jonathan has never had a Red Bull. Jonathan is... Did you know that?
I got one right here.
Jonathan has never had a Red Bull. And if you know Jonathan, he doesn't need a Red Bull. So, we don't know what's going to happen in the next few minutes.
I need room to move.
Oh, boy. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Thank you for coming out this weekend. What a guest.
Best DragonCon ever. Fans have been fantastic. The panels have been great. And the company.
Yeah, we had a lovely time on the panel yesterday, and had a great time last night at Morton.
Plug-in Morton.
Plug-in Morton's, yeah. And watching my
place for vegans to eat.
I'm a vegan, all right. So and I asked my friends, my friends who I love very much and who love me are concerned about me.
We always take her to a steakhouse.
Always take me to a steakhouse.
And the woman who called for reservations said, "We have some lovely vegetables."
I know, and they did. They had some very lovely vegetables. Well, you know, your food was bleeding all over the place. But it was wonderful.
So, no, did Garrett bail on us? Where's Garrett?
Garrett had other things to do.
And what about LeVar?
Well, LeVar always has other important things to do.
And where's Marina?
Marina has other important things to do.
So you guys are kind of stuck with us. Pound for pound, who are your finest American actors?
Pound for pound. Hey, because nothing is more important to us than you guys.
Yeah! If it weren't for the fans, where would we be? 25 years later.
25 years later.
What a blessing you are. What a blessing these are.
Yeah, I was telling Johnny, you know, that last night, I said, if somebody had told us in 1987 that, oh, by the way, along with working 7 years and being extremely popular and having been, after that, in 2012, you'd still be coming out to these things. That's what we would have said. That's what was our reaction. I think the Red Bull just kicked in.
I feel something growing. My seasoning back there?
I think it's contagion all over again, I bet.
If I should grow wings, would you let me fly?
I would let you. Johnny, you don't need Red Bull.
There's a reason I've never had it before.
You know, and your poor handler backstage, Jonathan was standing there, and next thing you know, he starts wandering away.
I want you to go out and feel the crowd.
Yeah, it's a good crowd.
There she is now.
Where is she? Where is she?
Right there.
Oh, there she is. Hey. Yeah, the tallest woman in the place, and she's hiding.
Don't see me.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming out, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah. I always like that.
That's all. No jokes to work.
Where's Will Wheaton at?
Will is in the blogosphere. Where is he? Oh, really? Is there a convention there? Oh, illustrator. Oh, cool. Cool. Will.
John. I do it when he was a child, remember?
Oh, man.
Remember when he got his car?
Yeah.
He had the same car as Patrick.
Yeah.
They both had, were they little Hondas they got? Or
What were they?
they were Honda Civics or something?
Oh, it wasn't a Civic. It was something else.
I thought it was a Ford.
God.
And Will had just got his driver's license. We watched him grow up in the show. And when I was walking back to the car park, to the garage, Will Wheaton, and he looked at me like this. He was swaggering by that because he was like 16.
16.
He said, you know, Frakes, I can tell by the way that you dress and the music that comes out of your dressing room. You used to be cool, didn't you? Teenager. Now I've got two of them at home.
I know.
We don't think I'm cool at all.
Well, they're teenagers.
They are teenagers.
You know, my cousin, whose daughter is now a lot of college, stuff like that, he said from 6 until 12, that she loved him. Oh, just couldn't bear sports, loved it. And when she turned 13, she just sat there and looked at him and wondered how they even survived this long. Being that stupid. How do you even dress yourself?
Exponentially stupider as they get older.
As they get older, you get stupid.
And then I'm told it comes back around. When they
Yeah.
turn.
All of a sudden, at a certain age, they start talking like you. You know,
And quoting things that they've heard for the last 20 years.
Oh, God. Hey, if you guys
But we
have
digress.
if you have some questions, here's a microphone. You can come up and ask. Oh, You're obsessed. You're obsessed with hair.
I know.
You really are.
It was like the movie Generations,
Two captains?
in search of one good hairpiece. Oh, I like when you teed it up like that. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to know if you guys shop for glasses together.
We give them compliments, and the guy gives us a shot.
Yeah. I will say that I was inspired by your choice of glasses.
Oh, thank
Michael
you.
had his glasses for a year or so because he's. Yeah, I love him too, but I loved it because I loved him and his glasses.
Yeah, very funny.
All I want to do is hurt now.
Oh, that's all they want to
I want to
do.
hurt us.
You give them compliments, and then they turn on you.
I know.
I guess that, okay, yes.
Hey, you've both been very successful. What would you attribute your qualities, or what qualities would you attribute your success to?
Good question.
Those glasses.
Johnny.
Luck. Right time,
Yes.
the right place.
Yes.
Prepared for the opportunity when it arose.
Yeah.
Blessings from some higher power.
Experience,
Experience.
because we both were, and we could have gone either way at a certain point in our career.
And in my case, G.D. Francis.
Gee. Hey, hey.
Oh my God, microphone adjustment.
Well, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
Are you thinking audio-visual aids? Wow, look at her. Nobody can see really. My mic isn't right either. What over here on the floor? Did she just shoot me the picture? It was a bird.
She went like this. She went, yeah, okay, thanks. Just,
Two are too nuts for me.
yeah.
What's with those Star Trek guys? Go ahead. Sorry. It's the Red Bull.
Yeah, I remember the first time I had a Red Bull, like, it was when I was a long drive, and I started talking to my girlfriend for like nonstop for 3 hours, and I realized she had fallen asleep in the car for like.
Yeah, that's really funny. What's the question?
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. It's the Red Bull talking. Go ahead.
I said I'd move the mountain. And I'll move the mountain.
See, I like him talking.
If you want the mountain, say,
So in the original series,
sure I'm crazy. Love, I say I need forever. And I mean forever if I have to hold up the sky. Crazy they call me. Crazy in love and mine.
Nice.
in the original series,
Little Avery Brooks energy.
Well, there we go. Okay.
Like I don't know anything about the original series. That must be addressed to Michael Dorn.
no, it's the original series after it was done.
There I go, there I go. Hey, baby, you want a soul that's not my control. Such a funny thing, but every time you give me, I end up in your head. You give me a smile and then I'm wrapped up in your magic. This music.
Okay, so in the original series,
Tell me your say.
John, what was your favorite movie?
Tell me your And then...
After it was done,
The original series.
they made an animated version.
Yes.
That was like even more insane. Like
Yes.
they became friends with Satan and learned magic and fought space Puritans. It was like like someone cloned Spock and made giant Spock clones to make it even hilarious.
Got it,
Crazy.
got it, yes.
If they ever made a TNG animated series,
No.
they're not gonna do it. But like if they did, like what would you want to happen in it that like you didn't get to happen in the live action series?
No. You know, that's an okay question, but the problem is that I just don't even
Kind of a hypothetical.
Well, it's not even hypothetical.
Well, I didn't think you'd remember anything from back when you were on the show, so I thought I'd have to ask.
And tell me why I always wear my things that treat my bed away. There I go, I'm talking out of my head. Baby, won't you come and put our two hearts together? That will make me strong and brave. I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid. If there's a cloud up above us, go on and let it rain. I'm sure our love together can endure a hurricane. Oh, my baby, won't you let me get a release from this awful misery?
Okay, this is not about Star Trek.
Okay.
You're already getting off on the right foot.
I was wondering if there were any actors or actresses that you've had an opportunity to mentor that you are particularly proud of their career, because what you each had to give to them or whatever. You know, did you mentor anybody and now
I
you're
discovered Catherine Heigl, like Catherine Roswell.
Catherine Heigl. Yeah, wow.
The girl from Thunderbirds who became the big star in High School Musical, whose name is Vanessa Hudgens.
Oh, wow.
Gave her her first job.
Oh, you gave the guy from Parks and Rec? No.
Adam Scott.
Yes.
With you.
And he was the guy
First
in
Contact.
First Contact when when I arrive in the
You throw your hand up on top of the thing.
and I go and he goes, "There's another ship coming in, sir. It's the Enterprise."
And that was it for him in the movie. And now he's a big star.
I was a big star. Yeah.
Two of the women that I was lucky enough to cast on the Librarian series went on to become big television stars, Gabrielle Anwar
That's that.
and Stana Kyle.
you might say, oh, you need to go do this and with other directors and other things like this.
You know, I don't know what I've never mentored somebody and I'm like, no. But I mean, I've had people. Wow.
It's a rough room today.
What is all this talk? I'm loving you, my sweet. I am not afraid, not anymore, not like before. Can't you understand me now, baby? Please pull yourself together, do it soon. Our souls on fire. Tell me what you mean. Oh, baby, you make me feel so good. Come and take me by the hand. Come, let us visit out there in that new promised land. Maybe there we can find a true place to keep our lovely state of mind. Come, or you can come down and blow if you want to. I'm through. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
I all these questions for you.
Oh, my God.
Whatever happened to Alexander, the little kid that played on the show?
Oh gosh, that's not a good story. Yeah, the kid who played Brian Bonsall. If you go on any Google or on the, you'll see that he fell on pretty tough times, which is too bad. But they had another kid who played my son on Deep Space, who's actually a wonderful actor. But he's doing fine. But Brian Bonsall, who played the majority of it, didn't do very well, which is too bad. But we all need to pray for him.
Sad.
I know it is a sad story. Yes.
I have some friends that do a Star Trek episode review podcast, and they've come to the realization that writer gets crazy asinine nicknames all the time.
Like, for instance,
Nails, for instance. and-
Nails?
Nails. And Billy Boy. Can you tell me a little about those nicknames?
from whence do they come?
They have nicknames every season.
Who's they?
They just come up with nicknames for records.
Who's they?
The nicknames are in the episode.
What episode?
Oh, you're talking about podcasts.
Are you talking about episodes that we were in?
Yes.
In which they call Riker Nails and... Thank God he's here. Oh, man, on season 2.
Nails?
No. You're the holodeck. Oh, anything can happen there.
Those are just, if what you're saying is true, they are just conjurings of the writers, and we don't know where they get that from, or they're pot-induced meetings. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my question is, at the end of the series, looking back at the development of your characters, when you first stepped on the set to do the very first episode, what is an aspect of your character that you look back and say, oh, I never realized that aspect to War, or that aspect to Riker would exist, they would write that in? Is there anything like that?
You're looking for a serious answer? I can give you a serious answer. Gene Roddenberry told me when I first started, after they finally made the decision on who was going to play the part, that he wanted Riker to have two things, what he referred to as a Machiavellian glint in his eye, and which I carried off. But then he wanted him not to smile ever. He said, I want him to have a Midwestern Gary Cooper scowl at all times. Now, as you can tell from today's panel, not smiling is a bit of a stretch. So I tried it for a year. I listened to the boss, I did it for a year. It turned out that, as you may also remember, Riker was a little stiff early on. A little boring, a little, right?
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Two things. You never knew, the cast never knew that I was coming on the show.
I never knew.
Never knew. Okay. The second thing, the beard. Somebody asked me where the beard came from.
After the first season, there was a writer's strike.
Yes,
I didn't shave because I didn't like to shave.
me too. Ken.
So after the writer's strike ended, we called into a meeting with Berman and Roddenberry, I guess to talk about the character. So I showed up with the beard, and Roddenberry loved it. He said, Jonathan, that's my Roddenberry first name. Jonathan, the beard is perfect for Riker. It's nautical. I'm not done. He then said, we should shape it so it would be more decorative.
Wow.
So they took me down to Westmore, the king of makeup, to Westmore's makeup trailer. And they armed Berman and Roddenberry at Westmore with eyeliner pencils, and they drew on my face the shape they thought the nautical decorative beard should be.
I never knew that story.
And then they shaved it off, and I went on camera. They did sort of mini screen tests.
sure.
Then they glued pieces of hair back. And about 4 months after season 2 started, 6 months after season 2 started, some middle-level executive of Paramount sent a memo down to Rick's office saying, we need to reduce Riker's beard by 2% of the lower left side. True fact or fiction?
Now, I never really had. Gene came to me and he said, "Hey, we need to do something about your voice," but they gave me just a word "Worf" on a piece of paper, and that was it.
We need to do something about your voice.
The first 2 episodes, if you notice, I'm just sort of like Captain, this sort of like this kind of normal voice. And Gene says, "You just sound too like human American." And he says, "We want you to do something." And so he and I sat for, I don't know how long, for a couple of days, and I went through a bunch of different voices.
Really?
Yep. And I said, well, how about this? No. And I said,
Let me hear some of them.
well, first of all, what would you like me to say?
That voice is already taken.
Yeah. And I went to, would you like a European voice? Or would you like something that's more like this?
Little Latin.
Yeah, no. And I said, well, I can do like rough.
Yes,
sir. And he goes, that's it. And then I added the
Nice plant.
And he went, I like that one. That's it.
Yeah, that's with those big hands.
With the big hands, yeah. But after that, it was a
So
very
you didn't use that war voice in the first couple of episodes?
No.
Did you loop it back into?
No. I just changed it after the third episode. But then, like I said, I was lucky because they just took off with that war, gruff and surliness that I put into it. Because I saw you guys on the set one day.
We didn't know who you were.
Didn't know who I was. And I came on the
He
set.
had a turtle on his head.
No, actually, I
He came looking like
came
you.
looking like me. And you guys were just doing your thing. You were all together. And you guys were so good together. You were so like, friends. And, out in space. And everybody was acting like that. And I went, I'm going to do the opposite. And that's what I did. I came on and I was just pissed. Right into the...
You were a Klingon.
Yeah, but
It was
still.
part of your Klingon hair.
But Klingons were also, they thought about work being like sort of, carry, yes, and, piratey and all that. And
That could have been ugly.
yeah, so I did that. I was just gruff and surly and short. And they
Your voice is one of your great tools.
Yeah. That's what happened.
You've got one of the great voices on television.
Thank you.
So you didn't change your voice, you changed your approach
I went from this voice
to,
sir.
so you dropped it down.
And no contractions. Sir, I do not believe that this is the right course of action.
Data was not right.
Maybe it was contractions, but I was sort of like stiff and all that. And when we did that, and I didn't even know about all the other stuff they wrote about it either. They did all that.
See the stuff you learn here. You sat with Gene and practiced what voices to do.
Yep.
That's very cool to know. 25 years I didn't know that story.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys. I just want to add that Q is wrong. Riker is cooler with the beard.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here with
You
us
bet.
today. We really enjoy your company. It is after dinner time.
Not even.
Yeah, I have told one of you guys.
Oh, good. I'm changing my man. What do you got?
Come on.
I got 12 now.
Got 12. Just straight out. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad we're all together for this. It's like going across a date line. You will no longer have Tuesday. Say goodbye to Tuesday. It doesn't exist in your world.
I was wondering if you could share your favorite post-filming experience, whether that be on stage, screen, or at one of these lovely conventions.
Post-filming?
Post-filming, post-Star Trek,
Oh.
kind of gone.
That's having my kids, I suppose. You looking for that kind of answer, or are you looking for something more theatrically related?
Whatever you wanted to offer. At least I got you quiet for.
I guess that was the point of us coming. Okay.
Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Stopping by woods on a snowy evening. Robert Frost.
Nice. I don't know about post-Trek. I mean, a lot of stuff has happened, but I don't know. There really isn't.
No big standout parts since Worf and Riker.
Well, no, that's not post-Trek. I mean, there's been some interesting. I got to tell you though, I tell this a lot, but and I'm not blowing smoke, which I've been known to do. I really like doing Castle. It was,
Who doesn't?
Jonathan's going to be directing.
Spoiler alert, have you heard about the new Castle I'm directing? It is, I start next week. It is a murder at a convention. Not unlike DragonCon.
So don't emulate it, please. Don't. But yeah. So that council was like there was a bunch of things that happened and I enjoyed it. But that was probably.
But then you cured her.
I know.
You cured Stan, but you never really cured from a shrink.
No. And the thing is that I think that she may have a relapse, but I think that the show, and as you know, since you know shows, is that I think the show just isn't about that. It's about them and their sexual tension and the cops and robbers and stuff like that. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And I was wondering, for both of you actually, since you both acted and directed, specifically Frakes, since you were basically the first shepherd, so to speak, to start the directing for all the actors, the whole line was like, doesn't always start doing that. How do you feel being the first one to kind of help that, mold that for the rest of you then? And secondly, Michael, did Frakes help you along, like, and give you any tips or pointers to start directing?
John. What was the first question?
I was they gave me the directing slot very reluctantly. I will say that. I shadowed for over a year all the directors and the DPs and the editors, and I went to post-production and pre-production, and Rick Berman, who was the keeper of all things Star Trek at that point, was really hoping that I would lose interest and go away. But my wonderful wife, who I mentioned earlier, Jeannie Francis, said, you gotta keep going to these things, you gotta keep going, you gotta persevere, if you don't show any interest, they won't give you one. And then by the time I finally got an episode, which was The Offspring, which was Data's building his brother along, I was so over-prepared. It was insane. And it was a great turning point in my life because I had my friends with around me, the company at that time. We've been together, it was the third season, I think. And we all worked together for 3 years, 10 months a year. It was a spectacular experience.
It was a great episode. It was a
Great episode.
It was one of my. There's two of my favorite episodes. People ask me about, what are my favorite. There are two that are my favorite that are equal, and both of them were Jonathan's. One was The Offspring, and the other was Drumhead.
Drumhead with a wonderful Gene Simmons.
With a wonderful Gene Simmons. I think the thing is that Jonathan never really said, "Hey, Michael, let me show you how to do this," or wasn't that. But he did lead by example, because I just remember how good he was in terms of enjoying himself, and bringing everybody sort of into this thing of hey, enjoy yourself, but without saying it, you know what I mean? Just by his presence, first of all, and the way he talks to the crew and talks to the cast and everything like that, it puts you in a. And like I said, the crowning thing was the first contact, because it was just forget about what you saw on camera. It was just a blast to do, just a blast, and I took that with me when I started directing.
Well, both did fantastic jobs as directors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mark Fogarty,
Hey, Mark.
and I really enjoyed your work over the years. I'll pose you a question I originally posed to Mr. Shatner years ago. After he was at a convention in New York City, talking about his horses at Great Light. People were asking him questions. He really thought that was a TV show, I understand. That wasn't real. So he was explaining that, the obvious. This is my question to him. One of your voices is your real issue. Have you ever been involved writing audiobooks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's hard work.
That's hard work. Yeah, I did.
I've done a couple of Star Trek novels.
I did one Star Trek and one just novel, Heart of Darkness.
Really? Are you serious?
It was, oh my God, it was just, you know. But I did another one, a Star Trek novel where, you know, did you have to play the character?
I did all the different characters.
Yeah, I like that. That was
Thank you, Brent.
You're welcome. You betcha.
I'm a little short. Hi, since you were both singing earlier, what is your favorite musical? And could you sing a little from
Your favorite musical?
Attend the tale of street. That's me. Deep street. Raise your razor high, sweetie, fall into the sky. Sweetie Todd, you ever like Sweetie Todd?
I love Sweetie Todd. My favorite used to be the most beautiful song I ever heard. Maria, Maria, Maria. I used to love that. But I saw Brent in 1776.
Sit down, John. Sit down, John.
For God's sake, John, sit down. But then I saw him again. I saw him again in LA in Don Quixote, Man of the Macho. Oh my!
Really too long.
Hey, did you go see him?
Never, no, sorry. Touch me. Half a prayer, half a song. I played Don Quixote in college.
Did you?
And there were critics who reviewed the show said Jonathan Frakes did as well as could be expected in the role of Don Not that I ever read reviews.
Oh, well, I had one review that, of course, you never forget, and the guy says, Michael Dorn was smartly dressed. That was it. Yeah, no, there's a bunch of songs from Don Quixote, but I saw Brent at UCLA, and he was Don Quixote, and it was.
And was Ringo Hall playing Sancho?
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Brent can really sing. Have you guys seen Brent Spiner here at DragonCon? Did he sing for you?
He doesn't sing it at these things.
Oh, he likes to get paid to sing.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey. You're not going to give us a shot, are you?
No. You're gonna be gentle. I was gonna apologize for all these other assholes.
Apology accepted.
You can't throw flies with honey. Was there anyone in TNG or DS9 that was like, that stood out as being like staunchly embarrassed for being on a ridiculous space show? And was there anyone that was like an obnoxious fan? Was it like anyone that stood out that was just like, please, it's just a TV show, just get to work?
Yeah, was Denise? She just wanted to go on and do other stuff. Is that the deal?
Yeah, she wanted to have more to do or do other stuff.
Right.
But I remember, I told the story on Friday about Gates changing her name. You know, Cheryl to Gates.
Cheryl,
so that her theater friends would know that she was doing a TV show.
Is that what she did?
That's what I was told.
Oh, wow.
She tells that story, doesn't she?
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't know why she changed her name. You know?
And then she changed her birthday. So I go with the new name.
Oh, really?
And then the fans and stuff used to wish her birthday on the birthday that she told some interviewer in a newspaper or in a magazine. And then she got mad at everybody because they didn't call her on her real birthday.
No.
Don't you remember her telling that story?
I don't remember that. I don't remember, and I never really knew why she changed her name to Gates. I thought she just wanted to have.
I think Gates was her middle name,
Yeah.
or is her middle name.
Yeah.
And in New York, she was known as Cheryl McFadden. She was an important actress in New York. And then she wanted to be hoping that her theater friends wouldn't watch television and see this.
No, but and everybody that I think, you could say, I think everybody that we made jokes about it, but I don't think that we were going to a space show. I think we were just going.
We were happy to be there.
Oh man,
Lucky to be there.
totally.
Look at it, it's 25 years later.
Yeah,
Still here.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.
So, on Star Trek: The Next Generation, you see a lot of technologies like the communicator and like dark pressures, kind of tablet computer. What was your guys' reaction when you saw these things really start to coming out?
Gene knew what he was doing.
No.
Even from the original show with the flip phones.
I mean, it's just mind-blowing. In fact, the other day, somebody mentioned that. I didn't even think about it, about the tablets. I mean, do you think Steve Jobs got that from Star Trek?
Yes!
I mean,
He was a fan?
Yeah, so, maybe in one of his meetings, he said, you know what? I want you guys, Star Trek, and of course they're all Star Trek fans, they went, oh yeah, the tablet.
You have to go around the edges.
Yeah. To me, it's mind-boggling. The thing that got me, I was in San Francisco, and I was coming back to LA, and it doesn't matter about all this stuff, but I got this notice on my little phone, my little Droid phone, that they had canceled my flight. And I went, oh man, what am I going to do? It's 3 in the morning. I'm going, what am I going to do? And I went on my phone, changed my flight, booked it, paid for it, and went back to sleep on this thing. And even though to most, kids, they're going, yeah, what's the big deal? What are you, like 9,000 years old? It still is mind-boggling that
It's a great toy though, isn't it?
And so, yeah, to me, it's out of control.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome. Klingon in a rocket.
Lots of Klingon women.
My Vulcan husband and I just tied the knot this summer.
Oh, congratulations.
We are well aware of the challenges that face us as a Klingon Vulcan couple.
We would appreciate your blessing. We're going to need it.
In more ways than one. You want to bless him? You played a priest before, haven't you?
No, but I was asked to perform a bar mitzvah as Riker. So in light of that, I wish you both luck. Do you know how to satisfy a Klingon woman?
I am fully functional.
Y'all would both like to make an appointment to audition for my choir.
Well, we'll need a couple of bases.
Well, the problem is that we live in LA, and it's the commute.
Are you from New Orleans? Are you rapping? I see you're rocking the whole New Orleans outfit here. Are you in scrubs?
I'm Dr. Hunan.
Dr. Who that?
Dr. Who, Dad. You know what Who that is?
True that.
But just listening to you as a musician and a choreographer, just listening to your voices.
Oh.
And yours especially. I really
Johnny and I. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi.
Hi, I am curious as to your favorite and least favorite holiday episodes. Specific.
Oh, innuendo.
That's your favorite. What's your least favorite?
I don't remember anything but anyway. I didn't spend much time on holiday. I remember there was a pretty dull episode about skiing. Did Wesley go skiing in the holiday? Right? How boring was that? Was that the show that Ashley Judd denied she was on?
I think so.
Was that the same show? No. Same episode?
I think it was, yeah. No,
What did you do in the holiday?
yeah, my favorite wasn't much of a favorite there.
I like when LeVar and Brent went in as the Holmes and Watson. And I like Patrick as Dix.
Yeah.
With the hat, with the Eudora.
No, I think I don't have a favorite, but my least favorite is the one when we were on. No, that wasn't the least. We went back in time. No, that's right.
That was fun going back in time with it.
There was two back in times. One, we went back to the Enterprise, where we were dressed in Enterprise clothes, and in the original show clothes and stuff like that.
That must have been some deep space.
They gave me another shot, didn't they? But I didn't have really a favorite of them.
Okay, how did you feel about Fistful of Davis? It was the...
Was that the one that passed our
Thank you very much. I forgot about that. Yes. That was my favorite because I love Westerns. I grew up in Westerns and I love Westerns. And everything, what I did was every piece of clothing was an homage to a different Western and a Western actor. So I love that, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my question is primarily for Mr. Frakes. Mr. Frakes, in season 5, episode 17, The Outcast.
I remember The Outcast.
Right, it was an important moment in television history. It dealt with a lot of human sexuality, the fluidity of gender, and a lot of things that weren't being discussed in the late 80s or early 90s openly. They did it in a way that might seem outmoded today, but at the time it was I thought a pretty edgy thing to do. What do you think about any details you have about how that worked behind the scenes, and maybe more broadly, why do you think there was never an openly gay character on Star Trek?
I thought they actually chickened out on Outcast by casting a woman instead of a man. I mean, it was meant to be an androgynous, it was meant to be a man, I think, that Riker was attracted to. The network or the studio or someone got cold feet. And I don't know about I don't know why there haven't been. Are there no gay characters in Star Trek?
I mean, there's some gay stuff that happens.
There's lots of gay stuff that happens.
You're talking like South Park gay?
Not just the next gen, but anyway, thanks.
Hi.
I'm interested in your perspective, both as actors and directors, with the switch in network television from serial dramas to more reality-based programming. And do you think that with, the success of HBO, with Game of Thrones, and several of the other more fantasy-based shows that are on cable, with pay cable, as opposed to, your traditional big 3 or 4 networks, if serial dramas or long-standing shows like Next Generation was, if that's dead on traditional networking?
I don't think so. I thought that reality wasn't going to last as long as it did. But I would definitely go on about that. But I think there's a place for everything.
Reality shows are a little less expensive to produce.
A lot less problem.
And
Did they get really like network? I mean, the actor, everything.
well, there are fewer people on them. There's only one set. The talent that comes into, especially on these on the competition shows, are only paid for the amount of time they're on the show until they get knocked off.
Oh, okay.
So that people, they only have to pay 3 or 4 judges and a host. And they don't have, so the number to make an episode of a 60-minute show is maybe a third of what it takes to make an episode of Castle or CSI. And so it's driven by numbers, and then HBO and Showtime have a different approach because they have a budget for the year over which they can make 10 episodes of real style and class, as opposed to what we used to do 26. And now certain shows do 22, most shows do 18, and on the cable shows and on the paid cable shows, it's usually a 10-episode season. So they amortize the budget over 10, which used to be amortized over 22.
But you know, the thing is that I think the way it's happening now, I think there's going to be reality shows and there's going to be, you know, regular scripted shows on, and that's just the way it's going to be. There's going to be room for everybody.